good morning in US and good evening in India. Can you all hear me? Can you just send a text or a comment? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Good. So welcome to this webinar on a positive leadership through creativity and innovation, presented by Frank Saladis. I am Ajay Singh, the owner of Successful Projects India. I am right now speaking from US, from Rochester, Minnesota, and this company, Successful Projects India, is located in India, in Uttarakhand. Next slide. So this is a preview of the Leadership and Creativity in Management workshop in India. So we are bringing in world-renowned speaker Frank Saladis to India, and we have a collaboration with PMI North India and Mumbai chapter in hosting this workshop in India in August. And this is just we will call a preview of what we are going to do in the workshop. So this will give you a little bit of background of what this we are talking about today, and then what value this is going to bring in the workshop. And Frank is a world-renowned speaker, and he has written a lot of great books. He is a management expert, author, and popular speaker. Frank has been awarded the PMI Person of the Year in 2006. He is also a founder of International Project Management Day. He recently added 2 new books to the long list of popular management titles. And so the workshop we are doing is a 2-day workshop, but you have an option of attending one or both the days. This workshop is happening in Lee Meridian, New Delhi in August 9-10, and also at Ramada Plaza, Palm Grove in Juhu Beach, Mumbai, August 14th and 15th. Next slide. So this is registration information. You would get the information in pminorthindia.org website, and people who are getting this email from PMI North India, you will get all the registration link on that. And anyone who is getting email from Successful Projects India contacts, they could log into this website, successfulprojects.com, and there is a registration link over there as well. And then PMI Mumbai chapter.org, that link on that website is also coming up very soon. The cost of this workshop, 2-day workshop, is 10,499 rupees, and this is for the PMI North India and Mumbai chapter members. And for the 2-day workshop for the general cost is 10,999, and the 1-day workshop for PMI NI North India and Mumbai chapter members is 5,749, and 1-day workshop for the general price is rupees 5,999. The cost is very cheap because Frank has spoken on these subjects in US, and his cost, we charge like close to $1,000 for the 2-day workshops, which is equivalent to 60,000 rupees. So the cost is very, very cheap on this. So with that, I will turn the mic to Frank to lead us in this session. Frank?
Okay, thanks, Ajay. Thank you all for being here. I know it's a Friday evening in India. I think that we have some folks maybe from the U.S. and some other countries on the call also. But this is kind of an introduction into an area that I've been spending a lot of time on over the years, positive leadership and also in creativity. And the session objectives, what we're going to be talking about this evening, for some of you this morning, would be to introduce some concepts that will assist in developing more creative and innovative leaders and managers. Today's in business environment, with the economy and climate change and new products being developed all the time, creates a very competitive environment, and we do need to have people who are very creative and also to promote creativity in their organizations. We also are going to provide an overview of techniques that will improve the ability to lead adaptively. And what we mean by lead adaptively is that, again, change is something that we can expect to occur continuously. And because of change, we need to basically adapt our approaches to working with people, to working with our customers, and into the environment in general. So this leading adaptively is to focus on your visions and your objectives, but also to be ready to make a change when change is necessary. And also to describe some tools and techniques that will enhance your personal leadership effectiveness. And that's what we're really about here is personal leadership effectiveness, and it's beyond management. To me, when the really truly effective leader is a great manager in terms of organizing and planning and getting things done, but also leading people in terms of motivating and getting people to want to commit and to buy in to do something and to do excellent work. So those are some of the things that we're going to be talking about during this session this morning and this evening. Now, when you think about success, I imagine a lot of you have your own definitions of what success is, and you can go to any particular bookstore or go online and find hundreds and thousands of books and articles about what success is. But there are really three factors that we want to consider when it comes to success. One is that you need to have a plan. Okay? We have to set very clear objectives about what we plan to do, not just as an organization, but as ourselves individually. I think that statistically, most people have not developed their own personal plan for their future. So one of the things you want to do is to set your clear objectives about where you want to go. Okay. Secondly, you're going to have to manage things, which means you're going to have to organize your resources. You're going to have to plan things out. You're going to have to find a way to do things in some particular order, so that it's not a chaotic approach, that there is some organized approach to getting things done, and there's some meaning behind that. And then, of course, there's leading. Okay. And the leading part is that you are creating value through willing and motivated followers. Okay. Now, I just want to say one thing about leadership, and that is that a lot of people have a perception that leadership means that you have a lot of people following you, okay? You do not necessarily need anyone following you to be a leader. The key is that if you are creating value in your family, in your organization, then you are a leader. And I think that people need to be aware of that. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be in front of a crowd of people, but it's what you are doing. It's the example that you're setting, and it's the difference that you're making that is really the important part of success and leadership. Now, there is a kind of an interesting thing here, a survey about the leadership qualities. Okay, and leadership qualities is, according to an IBM study, 1,500 corporate leaders, 60 nations, 33 industries polled on what's driving them and managing their companies today, and 60% cited creativity as one of the most important leadership quality, followed by integrity and global thinking. Now, when we talk about creativity, it's not necessarily that the leadership has to be the most creative person in the organization, but the leadership should be recognizing creativity, because it's creativity and innovation that really drives an organization forward. One comment on integrity, I'm always concerned about that, and I've had discussions with some of my colleagues, one of whom is on this webinar today, Brian Monroe, about leadership and integrity. And I get a little bit concerned when I start to see in the papers all of the people that we call so-called world leaders involved in so much corruption and issues in the papers and so on. So I want to emphasize that we, at least in my organization, the Project Management Institute, and many of the organizations that I work with, that we really focus heavily on your personal integrity. That is one of your most valuable possessions, and that means being honest and sincere and straightforward and not hiding the truth and things like that. And, of course, global thinking. We have to really look at the fact that this world is very well connected from a technological viewpoint. We are seeing lots and lots of changes in how people work together, and most teams are very diverse. So we want to think at a global level in terms of the value that we can bring to other countries and what other countries can bring to us and so on. Creative leaders are very much prepared to break with the status quo, look for new things to do, change the enterprise around to meet the new demands of the future, and also to create new revenue models that will generate the kinds of success that an organization is looking for. And, of course, we all know that the top business strategy, or it should be, if it isn't, it should be, is getting closer to the customer. Customers are not anywhere near as loyal as they used to be years ago. They see new products all the time. They see competitors out there trying to do better, and they can shift their loyalty very, very quickly. So the top business strategy about getting closer to the customer is to protect your brand. And in order to do that, part of that is for each person in an organization to focus on their own brand and how their brand connects with the brand of the organization. Because to tell you the truth, all of you, regardless of what business you're in and what company you belong to, are ambassadors to your company. So those are some things that you really need to think about. Now, what we have here, what we're going to talk about, and by the way, as we go through this, some of these items will be explained in a lot more detail in the actual workshops. But what we have here is a power exchange. We have several people on the call here. Last count I saw was about 73 people. Maybe there's more. But what we have here is a group of people that are getting together. And the definition is a power exchange is the intentional, continuous transfer of information that boosts team member accountability and performance. What we're doing is that we are going to create a collaborative environment. Leaders and managers create high-performing teams by encouraging a collaborative environment where useful information is shared regularly. And what we're doing on this webinar is we're sharing information. You will share some of your thoughts. I'll share some of my thoughts, and together we're creating a greater sense of power between us. And it's important for us to understand that information is the primary power source for successful leaders. We have to continuously gather information, which means we have to be out there asking questions, talking to people, finding out what's going on, listening to the ideas of other people, and so on. A leader's job is to create and sustain high levels of value through other people. That's the key part of leadership, is for you to create value for your organization through other people and not through manipulation or force. It's because they really want to do it because they've been inspired by their leaders. And the important item here on this particular slide, a leader's power alone yields no results until it is exchanged with the team. So the leader is part of the team. The leader might provide direction, motivation, and inspiration, and so on, but the team really is going to get things done, and we need to have that exchange of information and power between everyone on the team. So it's really important for us to be aware of that. Now, here's something I'd like you to consider. Maybe if you have a piece of paper, you can jot down some answers here, but here are some questions that you need to think about your focus on the future and you as a leader. These 7 questions. Take a minute and maybe jot down what you might do in order to answer these questions. To do all aspects of my leadership duties well, I need to improve what? Okay? Now think about what leaders do. They're talking to lots of people lots of the time. They have to listen. They have to solve problems. How well do you communicate? How well do you listen? How well versed are you in problem-solving techniques? Can you bring people together to solve problems? Things like that. Maybe that's one of your leadership duties you want to improve. If I were better at, I would excel relative to my peers. Now, I'm not talking about finding ways to compete with your peers, but in every organization, we'll find people who really are truly excellent at something, and we go to them. So it's not about being better than everyone, but you may have something that you do extremely well, some niche, that you would excel at that would really make you an indispensable part of your organization? If I improved something, I would resolve an ongoing problem. Maybe we're not a good listener. Maybe we're not very good at solving conflicts. Maybe we need help in finding a way to maybe get a mentor to help you to solve problems or to think through things differently or to be a little bit more creative. Feedback from several sources indicate I should improve. It's important for us all to realize that it's a good idea to get feedback from our associates, from our colleagues, from our peers, subordinates, and so on, because we should always be in a steady state of continuous personal improvement. In the future, my organization will need more people who are effective at what? Strategic planning might be one of those. Problem solving, creating new products. Think about what that might be for you. If you are thinking about advancing to the next level of leadership, I should learn more about what? Well, most people who advance in organizations learn an awful lot about their business. Business acumen would be something you may want to learn about. The finance side, the operations side, the HR side of your organization. And of course, the reasons why I should continue my personal development include, well, the very basic and very honest answer to that might be that if you are not continuously improving, that you're going to be left behind, because there are new skills and new demands coming out all of the time which require us to continue our personal development. Now, this is a survey that was done, this is about a year or so ago, but I really like it because it brings out some very, very important things. This is the relative importance of each of the following criteria to IT executives when hiring a PM. Now, I'm going to make the assumption that many of you that are on this call are in IT. You might be an IT project manager. You might be managing an IT group, maybe even a CIO. But these are very interesting in terms of what these executives were looking for when hiring project managers. And if you take a look, and there are 15 items here, and think about which one might be the #1 category, the #1 criteria that an IT executive might select when thinking about hiring a project manager. Anybody want to venture a guess as to what the #1 might be? Okay, I see we have attitude here. We have attitude. Okay, stakeholder management, communication. Very good. Okay. Now, the interesting thing here, leadership. If we take a look at the #1 item that these IT managers selected, it was, take a look, it happened to be leadership. Leadership was #1 on the list. #2, ability to deal with ambiguity and uncertainty. #3, verbal skills. 4, written skills. #5, attitude. And #6, ability to communicate at multiple levels. Now, the interesting thing about this is that technical expertise came in at #11 on this. If you look at those top 6 skills, you see that they are all soft skills: communication, attitude, leadership, verbal and written skills. All of these are the soft skills, which might be surprising to some people who are in the IT profession. But what you really need to think about is that leaders do not necessarily need to know all of that technical detail. They need to get people to come together, integrate, work together, collaborate, and fulfill the vision and the missions of the organization. So these soft skills are very, very important. Now, we have trends in business that you should be aware of. Flexibility. We need to be able to move quickly because the economy, the environment, things are changing rapidly due to technology, especially as technology. Also, aesthetic flair. What we have here is many, many customers are not just interested in quality, features, and functionality, but they want to see how it looks. Okay, if you look at the number of smartphones and notepads and the iPad and so on out there, a lot of the product features are associated with what we'll call aesthetic flair. What do they look like? People buy things because of the pleasing the way they look. We also want to have cost effectiveness. We need to have long-term value, especially with the economy is still not what we're going to call very stable. There's lots and lots of issues out there, so we want to make sure that we're managing our money and want to get the greatest value over a long term. And of course, we have intense competition, which is driving innovation in just about every company that's out there. So creativity is becoming the new business currency. The more creative your organization is, the more likely it is going to succeed in meeting your customers' expectations and not only sustaining and keeping your customers, but also obtaining new customers that are going to drift from your competitors. Now, what it takes here to be an effective leader, amongst many other things, would be a vision. You have to have some imagination. We have to have the creativity, the ability to create new things and conjure up new ideas, and also innovate to make things actually happen. So we're going to take a look at these 4 different items specifically. The first thing is vision. The vision. Okay, according to Forbes magazine, leadership success always starts with a vision. Now, a vision, by definition, is really a future desired state. It's where you want to be. Most organizations will have a vision that explains where they want to be a year from now, 2 years, maybe 3 years or 5 years, but it's a state that your desired state you want to get to. We also have a mission that will help us to achieve our vision. So what we want to do is we want to set realistic but demanding goals. In other words, we have these, what we used to call stretch objectives. They need to be accomplished. They can be accomplished. They're realistic, but they will also demand some commitment, okay, and some effort in order to make these things happen. And of course, when we set these goals, we want to pursue them relentlessly. We can't just stop. We have to make sure that we go for it, we continue with that personal drive, and we use our leadership to drive other people to pursue and to complete those goals that we're looking for. Now, when it comes to imagination, imagination is a very powerful thing, okay? The creative powers of the mind, the ability to visualize. Kind of think about yourself, think about your organization, imagine the future. You know, where would you like to be? Where would your company like to be? Your organization. Imagine the possibilities of taking your organization to greater levels and expanding your market. How are you going to do that? Albert Einstein said, "I am enough of an artist to draw freely upon my imagination." Imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is limited. Imagination encircles the world. With your imagination, you can just about do anything. And that's what we want to do, is start to imagine how things could be. And from that imagination, you will basically develop some very, very interesting and definitely doable ideas. Imagination shapes the future. Imagine, you know, structures that look like this, that are in existence. People can imagine many, many different things. And I like to say that leadership, true leadership, builds on imagination. We encourage people to imagine, to look for the next best thing, and to look over the horizon, and just continue to see you know, what amazing things we can accomplish. This is an interesting picture. Think about the imagination that went into this particular complex, and which can be seen from outer space. The engineering that went into this is pretty amazing. The hotel structures and so on, and the design. But just think about someone spent some time, pencil and paper, and drew this this particular structure, and then made it into a reality. China builds a 15-story hotel in 6 days. Who would have thought of that? But this is the 15-story hotel that actually is a dwelling that people moved in on the 7th day, basically. There had to be some amazing imagination that went into this, plus some amazing management, project management, and leadership. I'm from New York City, and one of my quotes that I created in connection with the International Project Management Day was that you can see the value of project management in any skyline. And this particular picture is showing the Freedom Tower, which is pretty much ultra-modern. It's still pretty much under construction. It's almost complete. But you also see something that was built, the Brooklyn Bridge that was built back in the late 1800s. So imagination, creativity, building and seeing these new things appear over the years is pretty amazing. All of that due to someone's imagination, someone's leadership, someone's creativity. The Olympics, another amazing example of imagination management, leadership, planning, and a lot of fun too. But think about that. Think about being the project manager who is organizing and then making sure that we have the flawless execution of the opening day of the Olympics. I mean, just that one picture alone just sets your mind free in terms of imagination as what could be accomplished. It's pretty amazing. Now, creativity is something else that we need to nurture in any organization. Creativity is the ability to produce something new through imaginative skill, whether a new solution to a problem, a new method or device, or a new artistic object or form. Most of us are creative. Even if we don't believe we are somewhat creative. We all have that creative ability, and I'm going to actually prove that to you in just a couple of minutes. Having a new and useful idea. But the thing to remember here is that usefulness is not necessarily defined by the person who had the idea, but by the people who are going to use it, mainly the customers. So we have to think in terms of what does the customer need. Well, we can randomly create lots and lots of different things, but what we really want to do is create things that other people are going to find useful, and that's where creativity comes in. Now, creativity and leadership, we put them together because what we have here are lots and lots of people who are very creative, but they don't have the skills to communicate their ideas and their vision to other people. They don't have that social skill to influence other people. So what we need is to have a leader that can promote these creative people. Now, that doesn't mean that the leader needs to be the creative one, but the leader needs to be open-minded enough and savvy enough to understand that this is a great idea, let's promote it, and let's promote more ideas. That's what we do that's what the leader does. So the leader establishes an environment for creativity and has the courage to challenge the status quo more than to be personally creative. So we don't really expect leaders to always have all the ideas. What we want is to have the leaders create an environment where other people are going to generate ideas, and the leader will be the champion for creativity. Now, creativity is broken down into some interesting parts here. We use the word create. Communication, exchanging information effectively. Remember, we talked about that in our power exchange. Again, today, this webinar is a power exchange. The upcoming workshops, those are power exchanges where we're going to take information that people have and share it. And we're going to come up with new ideas and better ways to do things and find more effective ways to motivate our team. And then responsibility, willingness to contribute to solving problems, working together regardless of who may have caused the problem to solve it, being creative in our approach to solving problems, having the enthusiasm, having a visible energy, which is a very key part of being a leader, and passion. If you don't have that visible energy and you do not demonstrate passion, I would say that most people would not see you in a leadership position. So focus on your enthusiasm. Attitude. Any leader that's truly effective usually has a positive attitude. We're going to solve this. And you know, even if things don't work out well, their attitude stays with them saying, you know what, we've learned a lot. How do we move forward from here? So attitude is very key. Then there's teamwork. The leader is not just leading the team. The leader is part of the team. And the key word, of course, is collaboration. We have to work collaboratively. And the last piece, empowerment. The most effective leaders that I've seen, that I've known, that I've read about, have always trusted their people and offered them the opportunity to go and make decisions and do things. And that's how we build new leaders, okay, giving them the opportunity to make decisions. And sometimes things don't work out, and we learn from those mistakes. But we as leaders have to be trusting, and we have to take into consideration that in many cases the best way to learn might be to make a mistake. Now, there are dimensions of organizational creativity, and you have to think about your own personal organization when I go through this, because if your organization is a highly creative organization, the chances are that you'll be very successful. And if we stifle creativity, then we're going to have some real problems in moving forward. So what we have here is, if you look at the one side, we have organizational creativity, which could be low or high, and then we have individual creativity. And what we need is a balance of both. If we have low organizational creativity and low individual creativity, in other words, our organization is not promoting creativity at all, we are going to have very few innovations, very few new ideas, and we're always going to be catching up to other people. If we have high organizational creativity, but we are stifling individual creativity, then we will have a very systematic and continuous, possibly slow development. Okay, and that doesn't sound too bad, but when it's systematic and it is continuous in that way, you may not be able to get the acceleration that you're looking for. If you are an organization that's low in organizational creativity but high in individual creativity, what you get is a lot of radical ideas. You get a lot of individual people working in silos, and we don't really have a good rate of innovations because people are not really cooperating with each other. So what we really want is high organizational creativity, high individual creativity, which would create an organization that is successful. Why? Because they're very vibrant, they move forward, they're always thinking about the next best thing, and it's continuous change, continuous development. Now, we're going to test your creativity here. This is the part of something called the Torrance creativity test. And what I'm going to ask you to do here, and I'm going to check your responses, is, and I'm not going to give you 3 minutes on this, but what do I want you to do in the next minute or two is basically tell me how many uses of an egg carton can you think of. So use your text box, your question box, and start listing all the things that an egg carton could be used for. This is just one example, and I'm going to take a look at your answers. Somebody said make ice, an ice box, hold paints for kids, make Christmas ornaments. What else can we do with it? Store small jewelry, make flowers. Keep going, keep more, there's more. We can think of many more. Store something, it's a gift box, it's a sewing organizer, chocolates, junk holder. Make play eyeglasses for kids. Use as molds. Okay, someone told me that you can use an egg cart for sound barriers to soundproof a room. Ice cream molds. Successful organization is a linear organization. Okay. Screws and nail organizer, paperweight. So you'll see, without too much effort, you can come up with a lot of things that you can do with an egg carton. Decoration items. Okay, and you know what? The interesting thing is nobody ever said hold eggs. Insulation material, absolutely. Now, let me try something else for you, another little exercise. Okay, you see this figure here looks like an E. What could you do with that? Now, this exercise is actually kind of called doodling, but if you were given that to do something with, and someone said make something out of that, or create something, or do something with it, you know, what would you do? And let me just give you something to think about here, which I was having a good time with it. I just took that and I created the word eat, and I put teeth on it. Okay, so let your imagination flow just a little bit. Now let me give you another little test here of your creativity. We have a box, simple box there. What would you do if I was asked you to draw something in that box or make that box into something? What would you do? Somebody said turn that E sideways and make it an M. Okay, sounds good. What would you do with this box? If you could turn this, somebody said it's a room layout. What else would you do? It's an envelope. Absolutely, you can draw an envelope. It's a house. I'll sketch it. A maze. You can make a maze out of it. Okay, so while you use it as a canvas, cut it out, fold it into 3D. A paper boat. It's a window. Excellent. Let me just show you what I did, just real quick to show you. Okay, somebody said make a house out of it, so I made a house out of it. Draw a picture. Okay, I did another one. It could be an old television set. Origami. See, without really a lot of effort, look how creative you are. So these are just some of the things that I'm going to introduce in the workshop, but also besides those, it's about taking this creative ability and helping to build a very, very strong and high-performing team. So these are little fun things that you can do as individually or with your team. And you know what? These little short little exercises really stimulate your brain, and cause you to think about new things. And even after this webinar is over, you'll still be thinking about, what can I do with that? Maybe you'll introduce that to a couple of your colleagues, and maybe you use it in a meeting as an icebreaker. So the question is, well, why bother with creativity? Well, number one, change is happening, and there's no escape from it. There will be challenges out there that we need to solve, and creativity will help us solve those challenges. That organizations, for the most part, are trying to grow. If we don't have creativity and innovative people, then growth could be stifled. And, of course, the bottom line to all of this is this positive leadership and this ability to be creative is really about organizational survival. So we have to be aware that things are going to continue to change. So we need to have this creative base of people to solve problems that we don't even know we're going to experience yet. We have to be ready to step up to these new challenges all the time. Now, let me just give you some thoughts on leadership styles. There are different types of leaders, and in our workshop we'll spend a little bit more time on different styles and so on. But visionary, creative thinking, brainstorming, intuitive, okay, enjoy fast-paced environments, emotional discussions. Maybe you're a visionary type of leader and you're constantly looking ahead. Maybe you're the achiever type of leader where you're very results-driven, you want to get things done quickly, you have high expectations, and you don't really like speculation. You want to get things done, you want to deal with facts. Maybe you're an achiever. Maybe you're a facilitator. You are person-centered. You encourage other people to do things. So maybe you're the facilitative type of leader. You'll notice that they don't respond well to being rushed or threatened. Facilitators like to kind of take their time, make sure that everybody gets involved. And then there's the analyzer, very systematic, very businesslike. We don't like people making mistakes, and we don't like carelessness, and we don't like people being aggressive either. We need to take the time to be systematic. Now, if we look back, visionary, achiever, facilitator, analyzer, chances are that you are probably a little bit of each. Maybe one of them is more dominant than another, but all of us have these traits in us, especially those people in leadership positions. Now, there's one other model I thought was really interesting. This is called the Hermann Brain Dimensions Instrument, and we have different styles that we work from, similar to what I had just mentioned. But if you take a look at, for instance, the rational style, these are people who are very, very analytical. They're very logical, highly critical. They know how things work. A lot of people who are engineers find themselves in this category. We have the B type, the safekeeping, the green quadrant. These are people who are very cautious. They take preventive measures. But you know what? They're very, very organized. They get things done and extremely reliable. And you would see that a rational self, a type of person who is a rational person, blue quadrant, might get along very well with someone that's in the green quadrant because they seem to have some similarities. The feeling self, very sensitive, likes to teach, very expressive, emotional. They're a feeling type of people. If you imagine the sensitive, feeling, expressive, emotional person working with a person who happens to be very logical and realistic, you will see that there could be maybe a clash there. And then we have the experimental self. These are the creative people. They're very imaginative. They speculate. They like to take risks. They don't really play by any rules or anything like that. Imagine the experimental type of person working with the safekeeping person. Now, we have all these different styles. If you want to learn more about this, you can go to the HBDI website, and you can take a survey to find out which your dominant quadrant is. The reason I'm bringing this up is, again, none of us is exactly 100% in any one of these, but one of them is probably dominant. And if you are that very, very rational, logical type of individual, you need to be aware that you will deal with people who are the emotional types, the experimental types, and the safekeeping planning types. And we have to find ways to work with that and collaborate with that to get the greatest results. Now, about innovation, 3 classes of people according to Leonardo da Vinci. There's people who see. Those are people who see when they are shown. And there are people who just don't see. They're really not paying attention. They're not focused. And what we need to do is we need to become ourselves the people who really see and become visionary and foresee the future. We're going to look way beyond what people see, even the people that don't see anything. We need to go way beyond, past even the horizon, and really look at things that are extraordinary. So innovation is a really, really important part of our leadership qualities. Now, how do we unleash creativity? Well, number one is reward it. If someone comes up with a great idea, find a way to say thank you to them for doing it, and that will encourage them to come up with new ideas. In some cases, people are afraid to present their ideas, so give them the opportunity to do it in confidence, or basically from an anonymous perspective, so that they have that outlet where they really don't want to see themselves in a spotlight. Create innovative teams. Task people to go someplace. I think Google does this as an organization. They ask people, be creative. Find something else to do besides your own job and create something useful for us. Support creativity by being open-minded and not simply using these judgmental terms like, that won't work, or what were you thinking, or that's not going to be acceptable in this organization, or that's not how we do it. Be open-minded. Get diverse teams to work together. People that are in diverse teams, culturally diverse teams, are generally a lot more creative. Why? Because we have so many different perspectives on things. And of course, the best thing to do would be to create a positive work environment and find a way to have some fun in what you do. And if fun isn't the right word, think of enjoyment. People should enjoy coming into work, working with people, coming up with new ideas. Even when they're solving problems, they should have some fun or some enjoyment in doing it. Now, if we put it all together, okay, if we bring all this together, the positive leadership and the creativity and so on, what we have here is positive leadership. It has 7 capacities. Number 1, authenticity. You as a leader need to be very credible. You have to display confidence, and you have to stand behind your decisions and so on. But you have to be real to people, okay? Number 2, purpose. We need to have direction. And not only have that direction, but we as leaders have to be very driven to go in that direction and to find ways to help to get people to want to go in that direction with us. Sponsorship. Let's make sure that we know what's really important that we're going to focus our resources on. Okay, that's a key part of being a leader in business. Resilience. Not everything is going to go our way. Sometimes we'll have a failure or something like that. And what do? We're going to look at that failure. We're going to find ways to learn from it, and we're going to bounce back, and we're going to be even better the next time. Community building. We need people who are working collaboratively together, teamwork. Your organization is a community. Your small team is a community. Where you live is a community. Find ways to get people to come together and collaborate. Amazing things can happen through community building. Reason. Making the right decisions, okay? Making sure that we take the appropriate risks, that have a reasonable chance for success, and to minimize those things that are going to be threatening to us or to our organization. And of course, I think one of the most important elements of leadership happens to be gratitude, appreciating, thanking, recognizing, sincere acknowledgement of people who do a great job. Those are signs of a great leader. The qualities of the creative community leader: you're credible. You have a tolerance for ambiguity. People are not always going to know the answer. Okay, let's work through it. But sometimes things are not going to be as clear as you like them to be. Be flexible, and don't be one type of leadership style. There are times when you have to be demanding, but there are times when you should be extremely participative, and there are times when you should take a back seat and let other people lead. You must be an effective communicator. There's no question about it. We have to continually develop our ability to communicate, to not only get our point across, but also to listen to other people and their points of view and be ready to make changes based on what we have heard. Creativity awareness. Get people to generate ideas. Get people to be interested in coming up with new ideas. Find ways to inspire new leaders. Create this environment for innovation. I think that you create an exciting organization where people literally want to come into work and work with their colleagues to come up with new solutions and new ideas and new products. To plan for positive leadership, you need to take some steps on your own. Number 1 is that you have to learn to lead yourself. How well do you lead yourself? How organized are you? Do you find yourself rushed all the time? Do you find yourself disorganized? Things like that. Find ways to lead yourself so that you can build that personal self-confidence. Secondly, you have to focus on how you work with people. All right? And I'm not talking about teams here. I'm just talking about you dealing with other individuals. Do you treat them with respect? Do you listen to their points of view? Do you understand their concerns? How do you influence a person to work with you on something? Can you deal with conflict? And then once you've mastered these skills of people, working with people, then you start to work with small groups and teams. Create teams that can get extraordinary amounts of work done and enjoy doing it. And how are you going to do that? Set direction, set vision, set example, okay, motivate, show enthusiasm, show passion, okay? And then once you've mastered the small groups and teams, you move on to your leading organizations. And that means strategic thinking, SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Understanding how we can't have silos in an organization to be successful, that we have to work in an integrated, collaborative way. So these are part of the planning process for positive leadership, and we bring it all together with your attitude. If you have the attitude, a winning attitude, then that attitude can be very, very contagious. So the other thing I would suggest that you do is always make time to learn some new skills. There's always something out there that you could learn. It makes you a more interesting person. It puts you in a better position when issues arise. So continue to, not just to learn new skills, but to learn more about your customers, about your organization, and about the various functional groups in your organization. To implement your plan, continue every day to focus on your personal development. Do something that will increase your knowledge, your skills, or something. Stay in an opportunist type of mode. Don't wait for things to happen and be reactive. You know, get out there and make things happen. Test your creativity all the time. Use it. Encourage other people to be creative. Take intelligent risks. Those are the risks that have a reasonable chance for success. Don't be afraid to fail. We all fail at something, and the true leaders will take a look at that, whatever that failure was, and say, okay, how can I do this better next time? What did I learn from it? Learn more about leadership. Surround yourself with people who are leaders. You know, follow other leaders. See what they do. Colin Powell, you know, U.S. leader, I think he was Secretary of State, a very, very admired person. He said something about leadership that was very interesting. He said that people will follow you just to find out what you're going to do next. So, you know, have people guess a little bit about what you're going to do next. You know, be just one step ahead of everyone else. Get yourself a mentor, someone that will not give you the answers but help you find answers. And go beyond competency. Find whatever you're good at, whatever you think you're good at. You know, good is really not good enough today. Advance to the level of mastery. You know, be a master communicator, you know, be a master leader, be a master manager or something. But you know, go to the next level of mastery. And look at the quote at the bottom. Your goal is shoot for the moon. If you don't get there, at least you'll be among the stars. Okay? Leaders don't necessarily want to be considered stars, but that's where they wind up. They wind up with the stars because they've done so much to help other people. So those are the kinds of things you need to think about. Some final thoughts. These are some quotes that I had come up with. Well-led, self-managed project teams produce monuments of their successes. Your project, whatever project you might be working on, your organization, your group, your team, okay, whatever, if you're successful, that is your monument to success. A leader's job is to look into the future and to see the organization not as it is, but as it can become. So take a look at what can you do next. Rise to that next level of mastery. Okay, change. It's out there. It's not going to go away, so expect it, harness it, lead it. The most effective leaders are actually agents of change. They cause change to happen. And that's what you want to do, is you want to make change happen, so lead it. And get other people to become ready to deal with change. Don't forget International Project Management Day, which is the 7th of November this year. You can get information at www.internationalprojectmanagementday.org. We are trying to bring up more volunteers to help us out with efforts. There are many events being planned around the world in recognition of project managers. I want to point out that International Project Management Day is not a celebration. It's a day of recognition to thank the many project managers who take on amazing projects, and even those who are not necessarily successful, in many cases because of just the extenuating circumstances. A lot of effort goes into managing projects, and what we want to do is we want to say thanks to these people. We want to encourage them to continue on with their career. If we have a success, celebrate the success. If a project doesn't work well, find out why it didn't work well. But I guarantee you, in most cases, people worked very, very hard, and there were lots and lots of issues that surrounded that were just insurmountable. And what did we learn from it? So let's take the time to recognize our project managers around the world. Every organization has project managers. Even if you don't call them project managers, they're still managing projects and getting things done. And November 7th this year is dedicated to those project managers. So that is my presentation, and there may be some questions or some comments. Jay, do you have any comments you'd like to add in connection with the program?
I'm getting some very good feedback in the comments. Do anybody have any questions? Again, Frank, this is awesome presentation. This is getting some very good feedback, and it's very exciting to hear about leadership, innovation, and creativity in management. And I'm sure people will be, excited after this and would join the workshop in August. So I'm getting some questions about how to get the PDU. So we will provide that information in the next slide.
Yeah. I'll do that in a second. I see a question. It says, does leader need to be aggressive and not soft-spoken? Well, let me just address that. What we need to have is not what we call an aggressive person. What we need to have is a person who we would call assertive. And you don't necessarily need to be a loud individual in terms of voice and actions, but be assertive. In other words, determined. You need to get your point across. You want to make sure that it happens. You can certainly do it in a soft-spoken way, but it's how you say it. It's your tone, not your decibel, that's important. So many leaders are very effective as soft-spoken, but they are very assertive in that they will make sure that their point gets across. But we use a term in New York and maybe in other parts of the U.S. We don't step on toes. We want to make sure people understand our position and we are very clear about it. So soft-spoken is fine. Aggressive, I would recommend that you focus on being assertive. I see some nice comments about the presentation. I'm glad you enjoyed it. If there are any other questions that you might have regarding leadership, about the workshop, I'm going to put the PDU slide up next year. I think that comes up. I'll go back to registration in a second. PDU information is here. Okay, what you get is one PDU. It's a category B. Take this information down and then apply this to your PMP file and on the PMI website. I hope you enjoyed it. I will leave this up for a second and answer if we have about maybe 5 minutes in terms of questions. I'm reading something that says we are hosting International Project Management Day in Mumbai. Someone said it was indeed wonderful. If you are hosting an event in Mumbai for International Project Management Day, would you send me the information to my email address, which I will post again in a minute? We'd like to get that information up on the website. Tell us what you're doing, what your plans might be. We want to make sure that you get the proper exposure and let people know that you're making these things happen. I have the PDU information up on there. Lots of thank you for the presentation. Okay, any other questions regarding leadership This recording will be posted on the PMI. I'm sorry, on the International Project Management Day website, www.internationalpmday.org. The slide and recording, so that if you wanted to review it again in detail, it will be there available for you. I have someone saying, hello, Salatis. Project governance through portfolio and program management. Like to see some speakers on the same. One of the things that we will probably do in the workshops in India is to talk about portfolio management, program management, leadership. I do have a presentation that focuses on portfolio management that will give you some really excellent insight. I have a question here. It says, I read somewhere leaders don't do different things, they do things differently. Well, you're right. Actually, a lot of leaders will find something that needs to be done, and they'll find a way to do it differently in order to motivate their people to get things done. And I can give you lots and lots of stories about leaders who have taken some routine thing and done it differently, or engaged people differently and made it amazing. The focus here is to get your people to want to come into work, to enjoy it, okay? And you do that through creativity. Find ways to, different approaches to getting things done. There are lots and lots of resources out there that will help you with creativity. One particular book I can offer you right off the bat would be, it's called What a Great Idea 2.0 by an author whose name is Chick Thompson. And there are lots and lots of ideas in there, ways in which you can get your team to be very creative and also to do things differently. So I can, lots and lots of resources out there. There's another book that I have. It is called Leadership 2.0. And Leadership 2.0 is a book that is focused on what is known as 360-degree appraisals. The 360-degree appraisal allows you to see how other people see you. So look for the title, Leadership 2.0. And I think you'll find some very, very useful information in there. How does a leader influence others? Well, to tell you the truth, there are multiple ways that we influence others. One, I would start with thinking that those leaders who influence others have extreme belief in their idea. They're very enthusiastic about it. They're very confident in it, and they're very confident in themselves. And they influence other people by understanding the needs of other people. I use a quote from Stephen Covey. He said, seek first to understand and then to be understood. You will find that the most effective leaders influence people by empathizing with others and seeing their point of view without forcing things on them. They want people to buy into it by giving them reasons why this would be valuable, not only to the individual but to the organization, focusing on words like us and we and team and collaboration. That's how you influence other people. Leaders make clear, unwavering decisions. That's true. We stand by our decisions. Okay. The dates are 23rd and 24th for the IPM Day, so that's great. Tell me more about that. Send me some information. I'd really like to get that posted, and if there's a way for me to support you on that, I would certainly do that. How do you motivate yourself when you have a weak leader? Okay, well, let's just start with you personally. You don't need to have a leader motivate you. You have to focus on your personal interests, what's valuable to you, how can you add value, and if you take some steps to move forward on your own, okay, then you are motivating yourself. So don't wait for other people to motivate you. Find something that you really want to accomplish and focus on getting it done. And if you can throw the right support to make it happen, you will feel great about it. You're going to want to do something else which will motivate you to do more. And if you are motivated, if you have a weak leader, the weak leader might actually see that their lack of leadership is now the problem, and they might want to take some steps of their own to improve their own leadership. So don't wait for a weak leader to give you direction. we sometimes have to be very proactive and take the initiative. Okay, so please everyone, and lands up disappointing a few. Okay, what is that? By weak leader is the one who tries to please everyone and lands up disappointing a few. Well, let me say that before we wrap up. There's a quote that I found from Bill Cosby, the famous American comedian, but he said something that we definitely need to take into consideration. He said, "I don't know what the secret to success is, but the secret to failure is to try and please everyone. The true effective leader understands that decisions made by the leader will sometimes disappoint some people, upset some people, or cause frustration in some people. And that is the nature of leadership. We have to make decisions that some of the stakeholders are not going to like, and we're going to have to deal with that. So if we're looking to please everyone, you're not going to please very many, if any. Focus on what's really important, the priorities, make the right decisions, and stand by your decision. Okay? So anyway, I think that we're about out of time here. Let me just go back on a couple of slides here just to make sure everybody knows. We have an opportunity here. Jay might mention this again as we close, that while we're in India, if you have an interest in scheduling a forum, a small forum, group of people in your organization, contact Jay at successfulprojects@gmail.com. We can do a 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour forum on a multitude of topics: portfolio management, PMOs, leadership, team building, influencing, communications, just a number of topics out there. So if you have an interest while we are in India, we have a great opportunity there that you may want to see if you can arrange something with your organization to have us come in and talk to you about some of these things. So that would be a big help for us if you would be interested in that. Also, we had to plan to do a survey, and the survey was to find out if you're interested in attending the workshop in Delhi or in Mumbai. And the questions are 1, 2, 3, and 4. I plan to attend the workshop. I'm thinking of attending the workshop. I'd like to receive more information on the workshop. And I'm not planning to attend the workshop. And I'm not sure if we actually arranged for the poll question to go up there. I'll defer that to either Kay Weiss or AJ. Poll must be closed to enable screen sharing. Okay, is there a poll going right now?
Kay? We have Kay Weiss, also the owner of Success Projects USA. Can you speak on this?
Yes, we do have the poll running now, and we'll give a couple of moments for people to respond. We'll close it and show the results if you'd like.
Okay, yeah, that would be great. Let's see, there's a question here. When do we have this session in Mumbai? Let me...
Can you bring that slide again, the registration slide, Frank?
Okay.
We wanted to close, I want to comment a few things on that slide, which we, yeah, this one. So, the question on the Mumbai. So Mumbai one, we are doing in August 14th and 15th. And maybe you could go back to that number 2 slide, Frank, for a second.
Is this the one?
Yeah, this is the one, yeah. So again, New Delhi, August 9th and 10th, and Mumbai, August 14th and 15th. So again, getting a lot of good comments about this webinar today, and you can just see that what the workshop will be. So this is just a trailer, a preview. On the workshop day, you will have more interaction. You will be Frank will be there right face to face, and Frank does not come too often to country out of US, and this is the first trip in India. So people who are there in the call today, and not just you, of course you would want to consider coming to the workshop. Along with you, pass this information to your colleagues, your friends, your boss, your manager, and other people, because this workshop is not just for project manager. This is for the directors, for the owners, project owners. This is for everyone who want to become a better leader, who want to enhance their capabilities in leadership and management. And the price is very cheap compared to what Frank charges in other places in the U.S. So, and all the registration link is on the PMI North India website and Mumbai chapter website. Information will be sent out in a couple of days. And so please do consider, not along with you, ask other people also to consider joining this workshop. So now back to Kay.
If you'd like it.
For the poll.
For the poll results, okay, I'll share the results here.
Yeah.
So we will be sending out additional information for people who are interested in signing up for the workshop. And for those who are not planning to attend at this time, we still welcome your input, and we greatly appreciate your attending the webinar today.
Okay. Yeah, again, thank you all for joining. This was awesome. And thank you, Frank. Thank you, Kay. This was awesome.
Okay, I see there's a lot of questions that I'm not going to be able to answer because we're pretty much out of time. But so I would encourage those people that have some questions, if you want to send me your questions directly, you can send it to my email, or you can send them through to Jay, so that we can try to help you with some of those questions and respond to them, so that we can maybe give you some good answers. My email is salatispmp@msn.com. That's salatispmp@msn.com. And Jay's email, successfulprojects@gmail.com. And if you like the presentation, mention it to other people, your colleagues, and so on. We'd like to do a few more of these in the future, and we certainly would like to see you attend the workshop, or at least have representatives from your organizations attend the workshop. This is just a very small sample of what we'll actually cover in the positive leadership and the creativity workshops. I was trying to make sure that I covered a lot of information so that you would get a sense of what we want to talk about, but also to give you some valuable things that you could take back to your organization now. You will find this presentation on the International Project Management Day website in a few days after it's been recorded and reviewed and posted. And we encourage you to review it again, and also to ask other people to go and visit and review it, and maybe get some valuable insight also. So I thank you very much for being here. I see some people are planning to attend the workshop, which is great. Will the attendees get some certification? At the workshop, you'll be getting a certificate that will show the PDUs for being in the workshop, so there will be a certificate at the workshop for sure. For this presentation, this webinar, you'll be claiming the PDU as explained in that last slide. Make sure you do that on the PMI website. Question is registration open for Mumbai? And Jay, is registration open for Mumbai?
It will be sent out in a couple of days.
Okay, so
yep.
Be sure we follow up on that.
Right. Email will be sent out, yep.
The presentation, again, is going to be at www.internationalpmday.org, but you will also, those who attended this presentation will be receiving an email with a link to the presentation in the next few days. So I encourage you to go to the website, but also you will receive a link. I'm thinking, let's see what it says here. I'm sure many people like me are saying they will not attend, but sure would if it was possible for me. This was awesome. In the future, kindly schedule it during weekend. We're experimenting with the scheduling time. We've tried it in the morning. We've tried it in the evening. We talked about the weekend. We will come up with something that's going to work, and we will find a way to meet the majority of the needs. Okay? So, again, thank you very much. I think that I'm very happy that you were on the call, and hopefully you got some useful information, and hopefully we'll see you in Mumbai or Delhi. So again, Ajay, thank you very much. Kay, thank you for your help, and we will be in touch again soon.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.